Hello, guys and gals, and welcome. Welcome. So it's Diablo 4 Season 7, and the new mechanic for Diablo 4 Season 7 is the Witch panel, which is right here. This is the Witches panel. And of course, I'm on the wrong side to be showing off the Witches panel now, aren't I? But the Witches panel is all the Witches' powers. There is more to it than just that. Let me move myself over to the other side for right now. Actually, you know, I'll just take myself off the screen. It'll be alright. So, with the Witches panel, you have access to a whole bunch of powers. You got 5 powers here. And these 5 powers are your basic non-unique powers. There are a lot of different powers that you can potentially have. They are broken up into 3 subcategories. So there is the Growth and Decay subcategory. There is the Psyche subcategory. And then there is the Eldritch subcategory. There are also some other subcategories within those categories, like, for instance, hexing, which is basically like cursing. It's pretty much a synonym at that point. And then there's auras. Auras are a subcategory as well. How this works is basically you will do the new dungeon, or zone, rather, this zone right here, which is like a bluish green. This blue-green zone is filled with whispers. Throughout the entire area, you've got things like dispelling the shrouding charms, which is basically chasing the guy that teleports around and killing him over and over again. You've got stuff like the Harvestgale Valley, which is pretty easy. You just kill monsters until you get all the things, and then you have to come back here and you have to turn them in. The Scour, which is collecting the herbs around the area and then putting them into the pot. I still have very rarely been able to complete that one. Something's bugged about it. The Wisp, which is a wisp that you have to follow around and essentially save from being like corrupted or something like that. Like, basically, as the Wisp travels around, like, the monsters try and steal his power, and like it seems like you can gain it back by killing the monsters that are attached to the Wisp. It's a little hard to do because the Wisp gets too far away from you. You can't see it anymore, which is a pain in the butt. There's also the Frog, which you click on the frogs, and the frogs will take you to the Head Rotten. Basically, they're like bloodhounds, so to speak, where they literally will take you to where the monsters are. Like, go get them, lassie. Go get them. The Shepherd, which is really cool when it's basically a tree that has a bunch of animals around it. You have to rescue the animals, so you bring the animals back to the tree to help protect them from danger. And then this one right here, which is Find the Corpse. There's usually a corpse within this radius that you have to click on, and then it spawns a bunch of monsters, which you need to kill. There's also a patrol quest, which is actually kind of neat. This one right here, which is basically follow the person around who's patrolling the Watchman and help him slay or her slay 120 demons. There is also Purge the Head Rot, which is just kill 150 of the Head Rottens in the zone. And Fugitive, which is basically to slay one of the Fugitive Head Rotten. It's basically a whole bunch of whispers, and the entire thing is designed around these whispers. The whispers are going to be paramount to completing the Tree of Whispers quest line, essentially. Your quest line is going to start, I believe, down in, if I remember correctly, it was like Giacool, like over here somewhere. And it's going to lead you into these zones. Now, as you complete these zones, you're going to earn a reward. The reward is basically this. It's the Restless Rot. It's down here at the bottom. The Restless Rot is going to give you a large amount of power, essentially, in this panel. Now, you see I don't have all the powers, and that's cool, but there's a lot of powers that you can potentially get. You can see the powers without actually having purchased them. How do you purchase them? Well, basically, you get them from here. These are the Altars of Witchcraft. Now, the Altars of Witchcraft will not have all the powers. There will only be some of them here until you complete the quest line. So the actual, like, reputation, which is here, gives you access to more powers. You see here, more Witchcraft. So you get access to more Witchcraft there. You also get access to more Witchcraft here. And that's pretty much it. Once you are able to access all of these, there are still a couple more hidden powers that are locked behind altars. The altars seem to only appear really inside of dungeons and like random, like, you know, like off-world areas. So when you're doing the Head Rotten zone, which is these things, and we're going to talk about these things in a minute, but the Head Rotten zone is one of the places that these can spawn. They can also spawn in regular Nightmare Sigils. I've heard that they can spawn in pits and so forth and so on, and they're basically these altars. I'll see if I can pull up a picture of the altar so that you guys know what they look like. And basically, what the altars do is they allow you to grab some lost powers, essentially powers that the witches no longer know about. These forgotten altars are spread throughout like the entire world, basically. And if I can find the clip. um, These are the zones right here. So inside the head rotten zones, there you basically have these choices to get more like rewards from the roots. And let me tell you what, like you get a lot of rewards, legendary items coming out of every orifice. You also get the actual Restless Rot as well from the monsters as you kill them, so that's also a thing. The blue monsters, basically the head rotten, are the ones that kind of have like a barrier on them, and they represent the monsters within the dungeon that have Restless Rot on them. These are the exposed roots right here, and as you click on the exposed roots, they drop large amounts of items, crafting materials, all sorts of things, and you have to click on them to progress the dungeon. As you can see, they're kind of like loot pinatas. I end up not even picking up half the like regular legendary items. I'm looking for the ancestral legendary items. Now, as you progress through here, at the end of these runs, you will often find a boss. Showing off my mighty buddies. The boss is essentially a gamble on whether or not you're going to get a head, and we'll talk about the fugitive heads in a second of what you're going to do for them. I'm pretty sure this is where I encounter the altar here. There's a lot of monsters in here. There's a lot of roots. You end up with a lot of loot by the end of this. It's definitely a one of those runs where you end up in a loot overload. Way too much loot to pick up, and you're just going to be picking up the most important pieces because most of the time you don't really want all these items. And maybe early on when you need aspects, but later on, not so much. And in fact, right there, you can see the Drought of Whispers. So the Drought of Whispers is also another thing that we need to talk about. It's actually very important if you want to get heads or if you want to get the altars. Both the heads and the altars are things that you're going to be able to enhance with those droughts, and you're going to want as many of those droughts as you can. These dungeons that are spawned with this, the Bleeding Root Hold Whisper Wood, these are where I get most of my potions from. I don't get my potions really from the actual area. These are the Droughts of Whispers. So what they do is they double the chances of encountering a forgotten altar inside of the many dungeons, and they also additionally increase the of encountering the fugitive head by 50%. The effects last for an hour, and it basically works anywhere you go. So whenever you're running any kind of content that requires like a key, or if you're doing pits or whatever, you should be running these because there's a very good chance you could run into a forgotten altar. This is the boss room, and basically in the boss room you have one of these cocoons similar to the zone, and a monster spawns from it, and it's either a headless husk or it's a fugitive head. If it's a headless husk, you don't get any head from it. You do still get to loot. You still do get to loot, but you don't get any actual head from it. You do get like potions and things like that. Now, what are the heads used for? Well, the heads are used for crafting the occult gems, and crafting the occult gems is a whole thing that is going to make you super duper duper powerful if you can get your hands on it. And if I can just find this last one for you guys. The altars are very rare, and I would be remiss if I did not at least show you one of the altars. I've only found two. That's right, only two of these altars the entire time I've been playing. This is one of the altars right here. You can see it on the mini map up at the top right hand corner. This little like deer antler looking thing with the little leaf on it. It sort of just looks like a I don't know what I'd call it, like a little a little inner clickable, like a little shrine, but it's like a deer head and it's glowing, like a glowing eye, as you can see. I think I zoom in on it here in a second. Yeah, there you go. So you got a good look at it. Now you know what it looks like. Now when you click on this, you're going to be given a random lost witch power, or I think it might actually be an order of like it because it gives you. I think it gives you one. Everybody gets the same first one and then the same second one. I think there's like 4 lost witch powers. Like Piranado is one of the lost witch powers. Um, so as you find these, you're going to find some of the lost witch powers that you're needed. You also need to find one of these for the season journey. So if you're looking to get Dorian the bird, which I have finally gotten, by the way, you are going to need to grab one of these on your journey through. They're so rare, I actually called my friends and I'm like, hey, I got an altar. And they're like, what? No way. And I literally, they teleported in so that we could all click on it at the same time. That way we could all get the Forgotten Power together. And as you can see, I got new power unlocked, Hex Specialization. So let's talk about the heads. So these are the fugitive heads right here. They are very rare. It seems like more often than not, you do not get them. How these heads work is you can trade them in for the boxes, which is right here, the rotting cases, which will give you Restless Rot. I do not recommend you do that unless you just have gotten really lucky and have like 100 heads, because the heads are far more rare than the rot. You use the heads to craft blue gems. That's it. These blue gems are pretty darn powerful. You have things like 25% multiplier on agility, course mastery, weapon mastery, wrath, or incarnate skills. You've got Psyche Witch powers are 25% more potent. You deal 15% times increased overpower damage to a hexed enemy. Summons deal 15 times percent increased damage to a hexed enemy. Growth and Decay powers are 35% more potent. While you have an active aura, your damage over time effects take 50% faster. Your common Eldritch Witch powers are 25% more potent. Now, these are actually really, really powerful, but you need these to reach the next tier, and basically this entire system kind of works backwards. So what you want to do is you actually kind of want to skip over these yellows, and you want to go straight to the legendaries. And what you want to do is you want to find a legendary that you want. I highly recommend Friend of the Bog because it gives you 8% primary core stat, which is absolutely insane. And it also gives you 10% maximum life and a permanent unhindered. There's also a really nice one in here called Voice of the Stars for the ultimate damage dealers. It gives you ultimate damage and also adds the Eldritch Growth and Decay and Psyche tags to your Eldritch ability or your ultimate ability. And there's also the Witching Hour, which is Eldritch Witch powers equipped every 1 second that aren't treated as your core skill. There's tons of fun ones in here, but basically if you right click on these, you're going to see the requirements of them. So as a Friend of the Bog requires Wicked Pact, Vulture Talon, and it also requires a Vile Phylactery. So if you want to make this, you're going to have to make a Vile Phylactery, and as you can see, the Vile Phylactery requires a Toadling's Wish, a Pointed Finger, and a Skull Fragment. So to make this, you're going to have to make a total of 4 blues. Thankfully, the yellows do not require heads, and the unique ones, or the legendary ones, also do not require heads. So you only need 4 heads to reach the total number needed for a legendary gem. So in this case, what we would have to do is we'd look at it and go, okay, Vile Phylactery. So we'd have to create a Toadling's Wish and a Pointed Finger. So Toadling's Wish, Pointed Finger. That would get us the ability to create the Vile Phylactery. Then we would also need the 2 that you need for creating the actual Friend of the Bog, which is Wicked Pact and Vulture Talon. So Wicked Pact and Vulture Talon. Now it costs 1,000 Restless Rot per one of these, so you're going to need 1,000 Restless Rot times 4, which is 4,000 Restless Rot. You're going to need 4 Fugitive Heads, and then you're going to need the actual like Topaz and Amethyst fragments that you're going to craft it with. And don't sleep on these because they're absolutely insane. Let me give you an idea. I need to walk out of town to activate the Friend of the Bog because it doesn't work in town. But take a look at my HP. 24,969. That's not even as high as it goes. And look at my intelligence. 3,271. The core stat bonus from the Friend of the Bog, which is what I'm currently using, and the HP bonus from the Friend of the Bog are absolutely insane. And I freaking love them. And on top of that, you can also get core stats from another ability. So essentially, what you're doing with this entire witch power system is you are getting your witch's powers. You're choosing the ones that you want. I highly recommend that you use Friend of the Bog. It's absolutely amazing. And you're going to need 3 Growth and Decay powers for that to work. Now, Soul Harvest is an absolutely insane Growth and Decay power, which gives you 1% primary core stat per surrounding enemy, and also makes it so that as long as you have an enemy around you, the harvest has a infinite duration, which basically means you can get a really large amount of core stat from Soul Harvest. You can also get a large amount of core stat from Friend of the Bog, which means you only really need 2 other Growth and Decay powers to get the extra core stat bonuses. I'm currently a minion character, so I'm using Grow. And then you could also potentially use like the Frog or maybe like the Aura of Siphoning, etc. There's so many good powers in here that are going to do various things for your characters, and it definitely is something that you're going to have to consider as you're playing. Like, for instance, the Decay augmentation makes it so that any monster that has damage over time effects on them that exceeds their maximum life, or 85% of their maximum life, that they get executed immediately. So if you're a DOT character, this gives you a free execute on any monster that exceeds 85% life with a poison, which is absolutely amazing because that's just free executes for you constantly while you're dishing out your damage. Very, very powerful for any build. Burning builds, poison builds, shadow damage over time builds, maybe even if you're running like bleed builds on a barbarian. This one's going to be a no-brainer. You're definitely going to want that one. There's also some other fun ones in here, like the Piranado, which is one of the lost powers. There's the Doom Orb, which flies around you and dishes out damage. Some of these are pure damage, and some of these are actually going to give you some pretty nice buffs, which are going to help you out overall. There are also the gems, which you can use to support these. Like, for instance, if you're a damage over time character, there is a gem that causes your damage over time to tick 50% faster. I can't remember which tier that one is in. Can't remember if that's a legendary one. Or maybe it's a blue one. There it is. Your damage over time effects take 50% faster. So there are things in here that you can use to support your characters tremendously this season. And honestly, if you don't utilize the witch powers, you're being very silly. The gems themselves also give armor and resistances, not just one or the other. So they're going to beef up your armor, and they're also going to beef up your resistances at the same time. So you don't have to worry about losing access to your diamonds or your individual resistance gems, or even your your armor, your skulls, because you're going to get plenty of that. Now, a couple important things. So Restless Rot. We did some testing. I think I still have my thing open here. So this is my testing on the Restless Rot farming, and I wanted to see like the optimal ways from farming Restless Rot. So we started with 1 Restless Rot, and I did one of the dungeons, the head rotten dungeons, and it took me about 5 minutes, and I got about 33 Restless Rot. Not very good. I did get 1 head that particular run, so that was nice, but that's random. Dungeon 2, we were a bit faster because we didn't have a Cursed Shrine or a Cursed Chest. I can't remember which one it is. Still got around 31. There were 3 of us in this group, and the Restless Rot was pretty terrible. Not very good. And the same thing for Dungeon 3. Now, we also did an area run for 20 minutes, and we kind of divided it by the total, and we got about 271 for the area run. And the second one was about the same. Or no, the second one was solo. So this was the solo run. Solo area run. So what we found out was, through all our testing, is basically this. The person who gets the killing blow is the one who gets the Restless Rot. They made this system very poor in terms of getting the end result, essentially, right? So trying to get your rot. The more people that are around you, the less rot you are going to get because they are going to be getting the killing blow. And it seems to almost be designed to be a solo adventure. I then repeated the dungeons solo, and I got 107 Restless Rot instead of 33. I then repeated the dungeon again and got 123 Restless Rot instead of 31. And I repeated the solo area for a 20-minute run and got like 500 Restless Rot instead of the first time where I only got like 271. You basically get like double to triple by running by yourself than you do playing with other people in the new area, which is rather unfortunate. It's something that they definitely should not have set up this way. But for those of you who are trying to farm Restless Rot to get your, gems, to get your powers leveled up, and speaking of leveling up your powers, I forgot to mention how to do that. So if you're leveling up your powers, you're going to hold your mouse over the power that you want to level up, and you're going to press F. Pretty simple. So you're just going to press F, and that's going to feed in the power, and you're going to get a rank. As you can see, I'm now rank 2, and then I can go to rank 3, and so forth and so on my powers. You're going to have to farm a lot of Restless Rot. My suggestion to you is to get them to their minimum rank. You don't necessarily have to max them out right away. You do eventually want to max them out, but they all usually have some sort of like rank where they get an additional power. Like for instance, Aura of Lament at rank 15, you can now maintain 2 Auras of Lament at the same time. Aura of Misfortune, rank 5. Aura of Misfortune now increases your movement speed by 15% and slows enemy by 30%. Or, like there's this one over here, which is at rank 15 for lifelink, using a defensive, macabre, or subterfuge skill, converts the link damage into guaranteed critical strikes for 10 seconds. And basically this is essentially what you're looking at for the powers is you want to level them up at least to the rank where you get the special ability. Like for instance with Soul Harvest, the special ability is while there are surrounding enemies, Soul Harvest has infinite duration, which means you get to keep the stats basically all the time. And as long as you're quick moving to the next pack, they'll never run out. I've had a lot of fun with these. The Grow Power one is 100% critical strike chance while the effect is active, which is pretty cool. There are definitely a lot of ways that you can set these powers up, and there's no like optimal way to set up powers, maybe except for Soul Harvest. I think every build should probably have Soul Harvest in it because it's such a very powerful core stat bonus. But with the exception of Soul Harvest, it's really going to be up to your character and what you specifically need. Trying to think if that is it. The actual zones themselves last for, it was 40 minutes or something like that, I think, at their maximum. There is a little bit of a strategy to trying to get as many cocoons as you can. Now, the cocoons are a central part of the entire area, and the cocoons are basically the way that you spawn the head rotten, or the fugitive head rotten. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to capture the heads and bring them back. There are a couple ways to optimize your head rotten farming capability, and I'll kind of go over that a little bit. So as you're running around and you're killing monsters, you're going to see these cocoons fall. And let me see if I can get one of these cocoons to fall real quick so that I can show you exactly what I mean. I'm sure that if you've done any of these zones, you've seen the cocoons. But when you click on the cocoons, here's one of the cocoons over here. When you click on these cocoons, what's going to happen is one of three things. Either one, nothing. Number two, you're going to get monsters. Number three, you're going to get money. Right? Then there's the rare thing that will happen, number four, which is that you'll get a head rotten spawn. When the head rotten spawns, you'll have this big giant thing appear on the map. It'll let everybody know that the head rotten is spawning, right? So wow, we got a head rotten over here, everybody come over. You have a chance to get a fugitive head, but not a very good chance. You're definitely going to want to make sure that you're running these potions, the Draught of Whispers, because the Draught of Whispers is going to up your chance by, they'll double it basically, that you could potentially get a fugitive head, which is what you want. The fugitive heads are, I'm trying to think, about 10% chance. I want to say about a 10% chance. And it's pretty rare. I've gotten about, over the last 3 days, I think I've got about 10, maybe 12 heads total. I've managed to craft one legendary gem, and I'm working towards another legendary gem to see if I can get that one too. But I need one more head, one more craft basically to get access to that. The strategy is, from what I've seen, is that you can't have more than one active fugitive head potential spawn at a given time. it doesn't seem like they let you do more than one fugitive head. So this is a fugitive head, or a potential fugitive head. Now, when you're killing other monsters, you may get other cocoons, and from what I've noticed, you definitely don't want to click on any other cocoons while you have a fugitive head in progress, because it doesn't seem like it ever spawns a second fugitive head while there is a current fugitive head in progress. So what you want to do is you want to save any other cocoons that you get until after the fugitive head spawns, and then start clicking on them to try and get another. This optimizes your chances of getting as many fugitive heads as you can, or attempts at a fugitive head, rather, which will definitely be better than, obviously, you wasting them all on, like little baby monsters and stuff. So, getting close. It usually takes around like 45 seconds for the head to spawn. In that time period, you get a whole bunch of monsters all around the head, and then finally the head spawns, and as you can see, it died instantly because damage is absolutely insane this season. And that was not a fugitive head. Unfortunately, that was just a regular head. So as you noticed, we got another one here. So now that we killed this one, we clicked on all the ones nearby. Now we've got another fugitive head potentially spawning. And this is kind of like the whole cycle. You do whispers, you kill fugitive heads. There is ways that you can turn in the whispers in this particular zone. So like right now, I can do a quick run over to here because I got time. It's like 45 seconds before the head spawns. I should be able to make it. And you can turn in your whispers inside the zone so that you can get right back into the action. I kind of wish there was a couple more of these ravens because sometimes the zones are pretty big and you're like on the whole other side of the zone. So let's see if we can get back in time before the head spawns. We may have, unfortunately, not made it. Okay, so now we got more cocoons. So we click on these cocoons and try and get another head rotten. I mean, it's basically just the whole cycle here. The zone is absolutely insane. There's so many monsters all over this zone, everywhere, that you're definitely going to have a blast running around here murdering all the monsters, doing all the whispers. Now, you are going to get to a point in the season quest line where you'll see these crazy numbers popping up of collecting Grim Favors. The crazy numbers of collecting Grim Favors are actually kind of nuts. At first, I had no clue what the hell they were because, well, I don't know why it's saying to collect like 2,300 Grim Favors. And also that when you complete a Grim Favor, it doesn't seem to actually give you the number that you're actually collecting because you're not collecting Grim Favors. So what you're actually collecting is you are collecting the actual reputation for the zone, which if we go to Tree of Whispers, I can show you this. So in the reputation system, as you're completing the Whispers, you're getting reputation for the witches. The final quest, Whispers of the Wind, is literally just telling you what your reputation is currently at. So as you can see, I am currently at Tier 20 reward. I'm working on my Tier 20 reward. I'm at 439 out of 2,300. You notice a similarity there? 439 of 2,300. So this is literally just telling you about your reputation. So once you get to this point, you're just farming for rep. Now, what do you get from here? You get tons of stuff. You get freaking Resplendent Spark at the end. You also get tons of boxes, and a lot of these boxes have some pretty good stuff in them, like the Head Rotten Dungeon keys. Also some very good items, ancestrals. Honestly, the stuff in here has been kind of crazy, especially when I keep getting these keys from the boxes, which are the Tributes of Ascendance Resolute. These are the mythic unique keys that basically allow you to go farm the Undercity and potentially get a mythic unique. I highly advise doing these in a group, because if you don't do them in a group, there's a very good chance that you might fail them because they have very limited time runs. Even as a character one-shotting everything, it's a little bit frustrating to go in there with like 30 seconds left and you gotta like run through and hope you can succeed. If you have multiple people with these Undercity dungeons, it's way better. Way, way better, way safer. You never have to worry about it. Everybody just gets a key, and you just run everybody's keys. I've gotten like 6 of these so far from this, and I've already gotten several Uber Uniques from these keys. So as you can see here in my stash, of course, I got a bunch of items just sitting here. This is definitely the season of the loot overload, by the way. I've got a grandfather. I've got a melted Artisalic. I actually found another melted Artisalic, which I destroyed because I don't need 2. I had 1 Harlequin Crest and a second Harlequin Crest, which I destroyed because I don't need 2. I crafted myself a Shroud of False Death with the shards, and I also grabbed a Andariel's Visage, which is... Where's my Andy's Visage? Where did I put you, Andy's Visage? There you are. And my Andariel's Visage. I've been finding tons thanks to this. I did find a couple from the actual, the actual bosses. We were doing some bossing. But quite a few of them came from those caches. And those are actually really good reward that comes from this. Be sure to look out for the head rotten totems that you need to go into the dungeons. Don't destroy these. You can't craft these anywhere. You can only find them. So don't think that they're regular dungeon keys. You definitely want to make sure you're holding on to these dungeon keys. These are actually really good to run to get a chance at a head. It's a pretty good chance. A chance at an altar. Pretty good chance if you're running the potion. You want to make sure that you're running the potion. Always run the potion if you can run the potion. It's also a good place to get the potions, is where you can actually go and farm them. I've been having a lot of fun with the Witchcraft powers this season. I think you guys will too. I think that's pretty much it for the Witchcraft powers. I'll have some other videos coming out on more of the things going on for Season 7. Some of the unique items and whatnot. We'll be talking about those. As always, be sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button if you enjoy the content, and keep watching.